else did I help? Oh, did I tell you about the couple I took care of today? Okay, so this couple came in, three people altogether. One of them held their partner as the other frantically explained their situation. I walked over, asking them to follow me to my station so I could take a look at their injuries. I did a quick read of their fields as I got them situated. The one who had been explaining what happened was a water derivative, the one holding their partner was an earth derivative, and the other was actually a stagnant guy. I asked the water derivative what had happened, and he explained that the three of them had been walking this trail when their girlfriend, the earth derivative, suggested they explore off the path. Things were going fine until the stagnant guy slipped on a bit of loose rock. He took a tumble and got scraped up pretty good. It looked like his partners had gone after him too based on their injuries. Their girlfriend was very sweet despite being stressed on her partner's behalf. He kept assuring her he could walk, but she only set him down when I asked to take a closer look at his injuries. It was obvious they were just worried about their stagnant partner and wanted to make sure he'd be okay. And for someone who looked like he'd seen better days, the stagnant guy was in high spirits, all things considered. The three of them were honestly the highlight of an otherwise exhausting day. No, it's not required for all healing track students, but because of the certification I want, I have to work as a healer over the summer, which I don't mind since I'm getting paid to do something I enjoy. Plus, it's only twice a week, so I'll still have plenty of time to bother you, Jay, and Ember. Do you think I should bake something? I don't know. I already can't sleep, and I can't keep you on the phone all night. If I get up and bake, at least I'll be keeping myself busy. Shit, that's a good question. What's up? Oh, why is Romeo texting you this late? Well, actually, I guess a Cupid being awake at this hour isn't that surprising. Do you have to go? Aw, that's alright. Don't worry about it. I've got someone else I can go bother. Bye, sunshine.
I'm sorry for coming by so late, but could I come in, sunshine? Thank you. I need to tell you something. I've needed to tell you something for a while now, actually. I was trying to wait for the right time to tell you, but I don't think it's ever going to feel like the right time. Which is why I'm here, because I know if I don't tell you right now, I'm never going to be able to tell you this. I have no idea how you'll take any of this, but Soul said I should just be honest with you instead of ruminating on what I want to say. And I know she's right, but I just... Adoring divinity, why is this so hard to say? Okay. Sunshine, I'm a wayward Cupid. Do you know what I mean when I say that? No, it's alright. I knew there was a chance you wouldn't. There's no need to apologize. Could we sit so I can explain? From the perspective of most humans, the only distinction Cupids have is based on what type of affectionate desire we react strongest to. Even then, they're a secondary classification at best. But we have another system of classification. There are true Cupids, which is what the vast majority of Cupids are considered. They're what come to mind when you think of a Cupid, regardless of where on the visual spectrum they fall. And then there are fallen Cupids. Fallen Cupids are those who have developed the ability to feed on negative, harmful desires, more aptly described as non-affectionate desires. There isn't one specific way to become fallen. It's often unique to the individual Cupid. Some willingly seek out the ability to feed on those kinds of feelings, falling gradually. Others don't even realize they've fallen because they are actively harming others and feel no difference. Regardless of how, though, every fallen Cupid carries a mark indicating their descent. The mark is only visible on their true form and can take various forms depending on the circumstances in which they fell. The field of a fallen Cupid is almost indistinguishable from that of a true Cupid, but there is a subtle shift because their magic recognizes the change as well. Other Cupids are able to detect the shift. Informed humans can recognize it as well if they know what they're looking for. But since most humans are unaware of the existence of fallen Cupids, they're rarely brought up in Emera. The label wayward is more so a status rather than an actual state of being. It's considered an intermediate stage between true and fallen, and it's something defined and imposed onto a Cupid by the Council. It's meant to prevent a true Cupid from falling by acting as a warning of sorts. It's complicated. The answer would vary depending on who you ask. Some Cupids view the fall as the next step in progression, a way to adapt to the world around us. Others would rather die than ever become a fallen Cupid. Yes, I'm considered a wayward Cupid. You have more questions? I wouldn't call it obvious. More so, it's rather easy to pick up on given how long I've known you. Either way, what is it that you want to know, Sunshine? You won't be overstepping, I promise. What is it you'd like to know? That's certainly a question, I'll give you that. But it's one I can answer if you really want to know. There were several factors that went into me being labeled wayward. I was in a different position in the time leading up to it. This was at a time where I was still bonded with my previous coterie. The desire work I did was far more regulated than what I do now. Rather than speaking to individuals face to face and helping them that way, I was given cases, descriptions of circumstances, and an objective to complete. The coterie itself was fairly large, consisting of roughly 50 Cupids, and each of us had at least one higher-up we reported to. As rigid as it was, I didn't mind because it was fulfilling to help people. One day, I was working through my caseload when one case caught my eye. It involved a couple who had been together for over 4 years. Things had been strained between them in the past few weeks, and the objective was to alleviate that tension so the relationship could continue. I observed their dynamic for a few hours in an attempt to figure out how to best complete the objective given to me. However, after observing them, I found that the objective was inaccurate. From my perspective, it seemed that they would be happier if they were to break up. They had been friends prior to dating each other, but neither was willing to break things off because they were worried about how the other person would take it. I made a note on the case and sent it along, thinking nothing of it. When I was finished for the day, I was getting ready to leave when one of my higher-ups approached me. He shoved the case back into my hands and told me that my role as a Cupid was to follow instructions and assist in providing desire for us to feed on. It wasn't to think. I tried to explain myself, show him how if we changed the objective, we could get more to feed on altogether, but he didn't care. He said the next time he saw the case, he expected it to be handled. No matter what I did, my mind drifted back to the case. I'd have to deal with it at some point, whether I wanted to or not. So, after 2 days, I took care of it. I broke the couple up. I broke the couple up, Sunshine. I had been doing desire work for a long time, and I trusted my judgment. Using my magic to keep that couple together wouldn't have helped long term. They were unhappy, and I saw that. I felt it. There was no point in keeping them trapped like that when I had the ability to do something about it. All it took was a little desire shifting to get one of them to finally open up about how they were feeling, and I still remember feeling their emotions, that flood of relief and joy when they realized that things were going to change, but for the better. And in that moment, I knew I had been right. Then I received a summons. It had my true name on it. Have I ever shared it with you, Sunshine? My true name is Paralysis. I haven't gone by Paralysis in years. I was already using the name Romeo when I received the summons, but I knew it wasn't an error. They chose to use that name for a reason. When a Cupid is summoned, it means the council wants them to make an appearance in Remore in front of them. Avoiding a summons isn't advised under any circumstances, but I knew why I was being summoned, and I was terrified of the council's response. I evaded the summons by hiding out in Emera, but I knew I'd need help at some point. There would be Cupid searching for me soon enough, and I could only run for so long. After a few days, I took a risk and reached out to one of the Cupids from my coterie. I sent her a message, asking if I could hide with her for a while so I could figure out what to do next. When she said yes, I made my way to her place, only to be grabbed the second I set foot in her home. She had turned me over, reported my plan so Cupids would be there, ready to take me to Remore. I remember the way she looked at me when they took me away, like she knew she was going to be rewarded for what she had done to me. When I was brought to Remore, I knew there was no point in running. I was brought before the council and waited as the other Cupids present were cleared from the room. Once the doors closed, one of the counselors said my name, a reminder of who I was and where I stood in relation to them. They asked me if I knew why they had summoned me, and I said yes. They asked if I wished to speak on my behalf, giving me the opportunity to explain myself. Cupids can sense each other's emotions, and the council was no different. I couldn't hide how I felt, even if I hid it on my face. They knew I had feelings I wanted to share, and I figured there was no use in pretending I didn't. I told them how it was ridiculous that I was being punished for doing my job more effectively. Cupids are meant to foster affectionate desires, so what did it matter that my actions resulted in platonic feelings rather than romantic ones? I ripped into my coterie, demanding I have my bond nullified, because I wanted nothing to do with them anymore. I was angry that I was summoned because I felt like I hadn't done anything wrong, and I wanted an explanation as to why I was being reprimanded at all. I think a small part of me thought that somehow they'd see my perspective and understand why I had done what I did. But I was wrong. There's something else I need to share with you. My true form. I want to show it to you, Sunshine. I know you would never force me to share it with you if I wasn't ready, but I am. Will you come sit in front of me? I know the floor isn't the most comfortable, but I want to be able to face you for this. That's good. Sorry, I'm alright. I just need a moment. Can you close your eyes? Keep them closed until I say it's okay to open them again. Please. Okay. Could I take your hand for a second? I'm guiding it to something. Yeah, those are my horns, sunshine. You can open your eyes now. Hey. Could I continue explaining myself? When I finished airing my grievances, there was a moment of quiet, the council just watching me. Then one of the counselors stood and began to speak. He thanked me for my outburst because it helped him and the other counselors recognize what the problem was. He said I was naive and confused, a Cupid that had lost his way. He said I was blinded by my arrogance, so they had to help me find my way. The magic of a counselor is different than that of a normal Cupid. They each possess a specialty like any other Cupid, but they also have abilities gifted to them alone when they are selected for the position. One of those abilities is overriding a Cupid's bodily autonomy. I still remember the moment he took control of my body. I can still feel his magic overpowering mine, keeping me from moving. He forced me onto my knees as he continued to speak. He said from here on, I would be considered a wayward Cupid. The council was going to save me, but they had to make sure I understood what I had done. I felt as they forced magic into my body, claiming it was meant to help cleanse me. From then on, if I tried to curse, their magic would make me feel like I was being burned from the inside out. Then they allowed me to lift my head as one of the counselors walked up to me. She carried a blade and she placed it in my hands. I remember silent tears rolling down my face as they commanded my body, forcing my hand to drag the blade across my fingers over and over and over. I grabbed the blade with my other hand, my fingers slick with blood, as I repeated what I had done until the injuries mirrored each other. When they made me bring the blade up to my face, I realized what these were meant to be. Reminders. The only reason why they didn't force the blade across my eyes was because they wanted to make sure I would see what I had done to myself. What they made me do to myself. When they allowed me to drop the blade, I thought they were done. But that wasn't enough. They wanted to ensure I wouldn't forget this lesson. There's one more scar I need to show you. I'm going to turn around first, okay? The counselor forced me to lower my head as She grabbed the blade and walked behind. Despite the magic in my body, I remember my mind screaming for them not to do this, to not take them from me. But they knew what my wings meant to me, and they wanted to punish me. So I had to sit there and wait as she cut my wings from my back. It was only after they were gone that they finally released their control over my body. All I could do was scream in agony, the pain from my hands, face, and back unbearable. Cupids aren't fortunate enough to pass out due to pain, and I didn't have enough energy for my body to repair itself. I couldn't even writhe in pain properly as I cried on the ground, blood clinging to my skin and clothes. I was escorted out and brought to a holding cell, isolated from other Cupids as another way to punish me. Feeding on other Cupids may provide minimal sustenance, but it would have been a blessing in the months that followed. The only time I was visited was to provide me with enough energy to stay alive. They wanted me to reflect on what I had done and on what they had done to me. Eventually, I was brought before the council again. When I arrived, I was told my rehabilitation would be starting, and that I had been assigned a new coterie to guide me while in Emera. It was the first time I was formally introduced to Soul. I had only heard of her in Remore like everyone else. When I was released, I avoided her for weeks. I was argumentative, which is putting it nicely. Soul gave me as much space as she could, but she couldn't ignore the fact that I was part of her coterie now for a reason. And even if I didn't want to give the council the satisfaction of me obeying, she didn't deserve to be dragged down along with me. For what it's worth, I'm thankful I'm a part of her coterie. But that doesn't erase why I'm in Emera. When the council gave me these scars, they made sure I'd never forget that. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have burdened you with this. I understand if you no longer want to be near me. Yes. You want me to look at you? Why? What now? Yes. You can touch me if you'd like. I'm sorry for telling you. Because I understand if this changes how you see me, I wouldn't hold it against you. Why are you looking at me like that? It hasn't. Could I hug you? Thank you. For making this realm a place I wanted to be in. Yeah, you can have another hug, sunshine. I appreciate you listening tonight. Do you think you'll go to sleep soon? If you can, given all that I shared tonight. Then, could I stay here until you go to sleep? I don't think I'll sleep tonight, but we could stay up together, talk, or watch a movie, or try to cook, or whatever it is that comes to mind. Thank you, sunshine. Yes, you can expect my true form more often. I'm assuming you like it. I'll keep that in mind then. Let's go start our night together.